Okay, welcome to the Sparkle Call. Welcome to September's intention. I know we're sort of midway through the month, but I've dropped it in a few times. So the intention for September is to really think about the monetary value and the essence of what it means to go paid on Substack. So if you're at the beginning of your journey of thinking about this, that's totally fine. If you turn paid on and just got curious about what might happen, that's fine. If you've been building for a little while and you feel stagnant, I've got you. If you've been building and it's all going well, but you're just here for more tips, great. So the thing is with these calls, I'm going to try and cover where everybody is at with it between the two calls. And there will be something for everyone. So the Sparkle calls are an hour long with 15 minutes at the end for anything to do with Substack questions. So we will do some work together. We'll think about things. We'll kind of pull things apart. And obviously you've got your colleagues here in the call that you can then chat to and make connections with in the Substack chat or in the threads as well. So feel free to do that. It's really useful and it helps you feel less alone as you're kind of navigating the strange waters of running a paid subscription model on Substack. So if you're brand new here, welcome. I am Claire Venus. I'm an engagement consultant and mentor. I absolutely love Substack and I've been teaching it for like a year and a half now. I had a book out this summer called How to Build a World-Class Substack, which was an experience and a half promoting the book. So I'm glad that's done. I've got all the UK copies literally behind my desk to send out, so I'm excited to do that. So to get started, would you mind putting your name and whereabouts you are in the world and your Substack URL in the chat so you can all get a bit more familiar with each other? And then we will get started on the paid bit of the picture. If you haven't got paid switched on yet, could you just let me know in the chat and just put no in the chat so I can see that as well, just so I can see who we've got live, because I do like to try and tailor it to who is able to come live as well. Good. Oh, good. Tony's here. Hi, Tony. Norfolk, lovely. Cambridge, beautiful. I love this. I love that we're all just together on Zoom. Nottingham, not paid yet. Thanks, Claire. So Salem is saying not just starting with paid. Okay. Antonia's here. Good morning, Antonia. Cheyenne, I think I'm saying that right. Emily's here. Hi. Great. Good. Cheshire, not paid yet. 27 paid. Yay, Faye. Well done. Well done. It's bonkers, isn't it? All of a sudden you're like, what? What happened? So Antonio's saying not turned on page yet was honestly not in the strategy, but ... we'll see. That's the thing. We've got to lean in, haven't we? We've got to lean in. So I want you to have your Substacks open for the call so we can have a good look at what we're doing there. And I want you to, for the first exercise, if you have got paid turned on, I'll give you something else if you haven't. If you have got paid turned on, write down in your journal whereabouts people would find out that you offer a paid for extension to your newsletter or paid for service or a membership. Where would people find that out? How many places can you find on your own Substack? Do you already know that without going on there? I do, but obviously this is my job. So just see if you can figure that out. And if you haven't got paid turned on, where do you feel there is space to monetize some of the content or work that you already put out in the world? That's the question for you guys. I'll put both of those questions in the chat in case you want to read them again. So one, where can you see where people can pay? Paid, where is the opportunity to pay? Okay, good. And then when you've got that, if you just put some notes in the chat, and we can see if there's any common ground on all of that stuff. Okay, so Salem is saying in my content section. What's a content section, Salema? What do you mean by that? I'm really curious. That sounds good, though. I expect people will find it in your about page. If you've done any of my workshops on about pages, or if you have read the post on about pages, it should be there. If it's not there, that's a good place to put it. Oh, it's in like contents. Got you. So like in the navigation bar. Yeah, brilliant. Good stuff. Some people might have it in their hero post. Other people might have it at the top of every post or the bottom of every post or at some point in the middle. Great. Okay, I'll just give you a few more minutes to see if you can fathom that out. Selema's like top of the class on all the podcasts as well. So Joe said, in my latest free post, I've said what's coming up in the next month in paid. I've not put a button there. I thought I had. Yes, good to put the button because then Substack will put all the rest of the stuff. So Tony's saying about page, but very low down. Yeah. So with restructuring and reordering your about page, and I'll just speak to that first, it can be really good just to kind of capture attention and provide that social proof right at the top about who you are in the world and then how somebody else connects to your work and then go into the offer. If you lead with paid, that can be really useful just for you to see the difference between paid and free as well. So I think mine currently leads with free, but I was going to shift it up and lead with paid and then talk about what I offer for free. Reason being that the longer that we're on Substack, the more value we have in the archive, and we can't underestimate the archive. Like now that I've got 24 different calls in the archive, that's a very different offer from when I first started offering a paid subscription here at Sparkle and I had 0 calls in the archive. Good, okay. Joe says mine leads with free. Yeah, okay. And Tony says, oh, so many thoughts on this one. Just writing this down makes me think I have a bit of an identity crisis on my Substack. So by refining the positioning could lead to strengthen this offer. Yeah, and sometimes, Antonia, because we have this beautiful blend of professional and personal, we need to kind of work out and literally write out what it is that we've got to say. So sometimes the personal essays then shift into more of a, okay, I can be more vulnerable with a smaller group of people, so I'll put that in paid. Other times it's like, oh, well, I'll do one personal essay every couple of months and the rest of the stuff is quite business focused or quite kind of high value offer. So we can work it all out and see. Good, okay. Next question, guys. I'll just keep it really pacey for you so that it's really good value, whether you're here live or you've got the replay, and then obviously we'll have time for chats at the end. So the next question is, the last Substack that you paid for, what were your reasons for paying for that? So journal it out, put it in the chat, whatever you want. I'll give you a couple of minutes. But what were your motivations? Why did you want to pay? Was it to support the person? Was it to get to a class? Was it value? Was it that you wanted to read the piece? What were the motivations? And if you've paid for more than one, can you go into that a little bit more and figure out if there's any difference in your motivation? So like, say I've got too many to be honest, but say you've paid for quite a few, what's in there? Like, what is in there of value? What was your motivation? I'll put that in the chat. FOMO. Johnny said FOMO. That's such a valid reason. I need to know. I can't possibly carry on with my day without knowing what happens behind the paywall. I know it's real. Okay, that's really made me laugh. Okay, so motivations for paying for people's Substack. 1, 2, 3. Good. Okay, some good stuff coming out. I'll just give you another minute on that. Okay, so the next part of that question is, if you've been in that community for a little while, and this might really help the new people who haven't got paid turned on yet and are just kind of getting used to Substack. If you've been in that community for a little while, whether you're paid monthly or whether you're paid annually, how do you feel about that now? So say whatever it was that was the carrot that was dangled and you were like, I'm in, I'm 100% in. Do you feel aligned and connected and glad that you paid? Do you feel snubbed? Do you feel happy, educated, inspired? Do you feel like it's given you more aspiration for your own work? Like, how is it feeding you, I guess, is my question. And how do you feel about paying? Sometimes we can have a negative, like buyer's remorse type thing when we've been tripped into paying for something. And then we're like, wait, what? Why am I here? Like, what's happened here? And I'm just trying to get to the bottom of that with you guys and your own personal motivations. With the breadth of everybody's experience, we're going to get to the point of the class today, which is conversion content. And I'm going to get into all of that space with you all. So, how do you feel about the Substack now a few months in? Okay, so Joe's saying, I feel completely happy with the long-term subscriptions. I followed both authors for a long time before going paid. Louise says, happy with most of them and feel happy to continue, but there is one where I do feel ignored as there been no personal communication or acknowledgement at all, not even a heart on a comment. It feels very impersonal. Yeah, I've had that as well, for sure. So Cheyenne says, almost always to support their work. There are a few subscriptions that I want to get a specific piece from, recipes or workshops, for example. Yeah, for sure. And Tony says, learn something specific, sometimes a discount, supporting the writer, and then me. Oh, thanks, Samantha. Being part of the community. Yeah, great. So can you see that there is a blend of different motivations for why we subscribe and then how we feel within that community? And can you see that as people who offer a paid subscription, we have a sense of responsibility to not only lay out our stall properly and make it really clear what we can and can't do, but also to continue that as well and be really, really transparent with our readers and our members if we're doing a membership, because we've all had experiences where we're just a bit not, sure. It's like, oh, well, I thought it was this and it actually ended up being this, or my expectation was it would be more of this and actually I felt more of this. So what we can do in our kind of wholehearted setting out our stall is be really, really honest about what it is that we can offer and make sure that we're not tripping into using sales language that we've seen work or we've been taught might work. I'm going to go into sales psychology in my mastermind, which is coming up, but I'm going to give you guys a bit of a taster of it as well. I'll probably just record a session for you, like a 20-minute session on sales psychology. But when we are buying things on the internet, suffice to say that sometimes it's an impulse thing. Sometimes we're like, might be scrolling Instagram. I don't have my card details plugged into my phone for this very reason. And you're like, yeah, I'll absolutely buy one of them. And then you're like, wait, did I just do that? Like, what happened? It's just an impulse. And so it's such a sophisticated way that people can learn to kind of get us into their spaces with various different languages, that fear of missing out, all that good stuff. And that might feel great at the time, but then when we're there might be a bit of regret. And we don't want that. So we want people to stay with us. And this is why the class and the focus, the intention is called Going and Staying Paid, because we need to get realistic about how long people are going to stay, what they're going to stay for, their motivations for coming behind the paywall with us. And then we won't feel any of that anxiety about people coming and going because we know that we're doing the job that we want to do. We're setting out our stall in a way that is transparent and full of integrity. I hope this is all aligning for you all. I know that I try my very best to say, this is what I'm about and this is what I'm about. Integrity, transparency, truth, holding people in a way that I can. I should say that sometimes, despite our best efforts, there is just a clash of expectation. So I had somebody message me who said, I would have expected you to read over all of my Substack when I joined as a member. You haven't done that. I'd like a refund. So that was absolutely fine. You know, I was able to say, okay, that's not something I'm able to offer. I have the audit, I have my diamond members that I support in that way, but I absolutely couldn't possibly read over everybody's Substack because everybody's joining all different times of the day or the night. I've got other stuff on during the week, and I make it so that we've got this time together. You know, we've got these 2 calls a month, we've got our threads at the weekends, we've got our Monday threads. There's already a lot of touch points. So I didn't feel like, oh my goodness, I need to change my whole business offer. I didn't feel like I need to change everything that I've got in my language. I didn't even check it because I just knew somebody was coming to me with an expectation that I couldn't possibly meet, because sometimes people don't read things properly, or sometimes there's just something gone on for them that is just out of our control. So I just wanted to give you that example. It's not the only one. I have many like that. You know, at least 5 like that within building for this last year, and being at like 370 now, I think it is 370 paid on Sparkle. So all that being said, working out how we're going to lay out what that expectation is for others. We get 3 lines on Substack behind the scenes in settings. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and I want you to look this up for yourself so you can see what you've put in those 3 lines. Bearing in mind, if somebody comes and decides to subscribe based on those 3 lines, that's all they've got, unless you've taken them somewhere else to unpack it some more. And we'll talk about that. I'll just see, somebody's put something in the chat. Oh, okay, Charlotte's a bit behind. That's all right, Charlotte, we can catch up. So it was just talking about motivations for paying, and then when you have paid, how you feel about that, you know, how you feel about that a couple of months in, you know, whether you're feeling that it's aligned or whether you're feeling like, oh, actually, this isn't for me, you know, all that stuff. Okay, let's do screen sharing. Okay. Feels like so long since I've like talked to you guys on a Zoom call. It's really lovely to be back. Okay, so let's take you behind the scenes of the Sparkle Summit, because it's not set up for paid yet, and I think that'll be more helpful than taking you behind the scenes in my complicated dashboards. So this was a summit that we ran over summer, and we turned pledges on. So if you haven't turned anything on yet, you might have automatically got pledges left on. So it's just let me move this, it's in the way. You guys see it. So you might already have automatically got pledges here. So 16 people pledged to pay us nearly $1,500 towards the Substack summit that we did. We didn't have any intention of turning on paid, but because I'm geeky about Substack, I left pledges on. So that's that one there. If you have paid turned on, then it will give you your paid numbers here. So it'll tell you how many paid subscribers and then how much gross annualized revenue. And I started a chat, and I realized I need to do a bit more of a class for you guys on Stripe. So I'll do that in the next call, because some people just are really struggling to get their heads around how much actual money it is. So this is gross annualized revenue on the paid side, which would be, if everybody stays, this is how much you'll make in a year according to Substack, and that isn't taking off any fees. So in the settings, when we go into settings here, so always in settings, this is your dashboard settings. If you need to do anything with your writer session settings, you're going to be in here in the little avatar here. When we go here, you can literally just type in pay, and then it's going to take you to your payment setup here. So we've got monthly, yearly, and founding there, 3 different tiers, and we'll talk about that as well in the next session. The next session is going to be all around the money side. This is more around how we actually motivate people to be in our spaces and pay for them. Okay, let me just see. I have to scroll down to get the oh, maybe I have to turn on pay to get the lines on there. I'll just do it in Creatively Conscious for you guys, because I know what I'm doing there. Right, here we go. So this is what I'm talking about here. So my experiment in typing it in the search box failed, but let me see if it's payments, because I do want to make this stuff easier for you. Yeah, that's it. So if you typed payments into the search bar on settings, you're going to get to this place here where you can set your monthly and your yearly. I have founding turned off on Creatively Conscious. And this is the bit that we're going to have a look at here. So when we have the free subscriber benefits line and then the paid subscriber benefits line, what happens is, and I know some of you will know this, when you put a subscribe button in, if someone isn't subscribed, they're going to see subscribe. If they are subscribed but not paid, they're going to see these three lines here. And we can always see this in preview. So I'll show you that as well in this class so that you've seen it. So these three lines here, I want you to have a go at sharing those. So you might have to go in and copy and paste them like this if you've already set them up, and putting them in the chat so I can have a look at them for you. And I also want you to do a little bit of journaling around whether you think that is enough. Like if someone was just to see those three lines, is that enough of you demonstrating the value of your Substack? So two things, copying and pasting them into chat so we can all have a look at each other's. And then I'm asking you, is this enough value if someone was to just see that? Okay. I know when you copy and paste it, you'll want to change it, but that's partly why we're here. Great. I'll give you a couple of minutes to find that. Just give me a shout if you're stuck, guys. Okay. Gorgeous. Okay. This is great seeing these. So obviously, if you're catching up on the replay, you're not going to see this. So I'm just going to read out a couple. So Tony at Help Club says, book club membership and resources, including journal and prompts and private online, offline community, access to weekly online events, including author interviews, self-help workshops, and community meetups, exclusive subscriber only posts, threads, chats, and events. That's tons, isn't it? Like there's a tons of value in there. Just saying, I like how creatively conscious is specific. Yeah. So mine aligns with my content bucket. So if you've done the classes around content buckets and you've set up your Substack on the front end to make sure that you have those groups set up, that language is aligned with that. So the self-seed your business and the deepen your creative practice stuff. So Jane's saying 2 60-minute group coaching sessions per month, create coaching journal, post comments, be part of the community, 5-minute audio coaching nuggets, subscriber only posts and full archive. Selena, pep talk to help you kickstart your week. I love the emojis. Gorgeous community discussions, a journal exercise or life design tool for you to try out every week. Yeah. Okay, so if you guys haven't got hold of the micro copy workshop, so I offered it to everyone in Sparkle for 2 weeks. So you just need to use the coupon if you want to grab it, if you're not a Diamond member. This will really, really help you with these sections here because we always use too many words where we could cut them down. So an example of that would be, Claire's saying, I'm struggling a little with offerings that align with my capacity energy. Yeah, let's talk about that. So Louise has done the workshop and I feel like what she's got there, and she might not have changed this after the workshop, but I just know that the workshop impacted her. But what she's got there is much easier for me to see at a glance what the value is. So some of us are trying to sort of overdo it and overstack what's in there, and it's ending up in confusion because people are like, what do they mean by this? What's that again? It's really hard, but we've only got these through 3 lines. So let me just take an example. I'm gonna look at Tony, can you put your Substack URL in for me and I'll just share my screen with yours and go in as if I was like going to pay, and then I'll be able to do it easier than this. That would be amazing. Thank you. If you're still there. I'm just talking into the abyss. Thank you. Okay. Right. Okay. So here we go. So this is one of the places that we get given this offer before we've even got into the community. So some people will take this up from the off, right? So we've got this, we've also got the other places that we've talked about where it might appear. But for me, because I wasn't subscribed, this is what I'm getting. So if I join monthly, I'm going to get the same as what I join annually. So we can't change that in the back end. We can only talk about it in a different way in our posts, but it would confuse people if we tried to sort of do different things for monthly and annual. So it definitely just pays to have it all aligned. So it's the same monthly as it is annually. We're going to save 17% if we join annually, and Substack will put that in for you, so you don't have to do that, thank goodness, because we don't have to do that maths. So Tony's saying book club membership and resources, including journaling prompts, private online, offline community, access to weekly online events, including author interviews, self-help workshops and community meetups, exclusive subscriber only threads, chats and events. I feel like for the value of this, so we've got a £50 a month-ish membership. For the value of this, I'm still not really sure what's in it for me. Like, it sounds lovely. It sounds so nice, but I'm like, but what will I get? Like, what's in it for me? What's going to be the transformation? What's going to help me? Like, how's it going to help me? Is it for my downtime? Is it for my career? Is it for collaborations? Is it for networking? Is it for colleagueship and kinship? I'm trying to work out, like, what will it give me, right? Not to say that I don't like the sound of it, because I definitely do, but I'm still like working out, okay, but how will this impact me? So that's quite a big question. So how will this book club impact me? How will it impact me? Can I actually meet up with people online? Because I'm in the Northeast and quite often things don't happen up here, but maybe they are, maybe I'm missing out. So it's already given me questions and food for thought. The weekly events, are they in my time zone? Can I make them? Can I come along? The exclusive subscriber only posts, threads, chats and events. How many people are there? Like, how many people am I going to be chatting with? Is this like a massive online community of like 10,000 people? Is it 2,000? Is it 1,000? Is it an intimate community? Is it a busy community? You know, so all the questions that are popping up. And again, obviously, I'm purposefully like picking this apart because these are all the questions that we have, aren't they, when we're presented with something like this? So the only option we've got is to go and do further research to know if we are the right fit. The further research would be staying subscribed for a while. It could be heading straight over to the about page and being like, I love the sound of this. Give me more. Tell me more of what it's about. Give me more of the impact that I'm going to have by subscribing to this. So, and then the inner circle here, obviously, is the same, but then it's got priority access to our workshops and in real life events, one annually, one bibliography session with, bibliotherapy session, I think that's how you say it, with TJ, membership to the inner circle. Yeah. So with that one, like we would just need that unpacked much more somewhere else. Like it would be very, very difficult for someone to just come on and be like, yeah, sign me up, from the position that I just took, which was like pretending I was brand new to Tony's work. So yeah, just giving you some insight into that. And so can we do that for our own 3 lines? So can we look at it objectively and go, what is the value that I am sharing here? Like, what do people get? Like, what is the experience? What do they feel? Like, get into that feeling space, because most of sales psychology that isn't impulse led, so isn't like, the best example would be like journalistic clickbait. You know, when you see something and it's so clickbaity, you've got to click. That's similar to impulse buying. If someone makes an aligned decision and wants to be here, which is what we want to do on Substack, because it's a whole other headache if we don't, we need to demonstrate the value, and we need to be really kind of feeling into like what they want from us and being really clear that that's a match, right? We're just looking for this match. So sorry, I'm talking a lot, but I just want to make sure I'm clear on it. So the value, how can we demonstrate more of the value in our 3 lines here? And don't worry, this isn't the only place that we can do this, but we do need to just pull on that a little bit, pull on that thread a little bit. So let me stop sharing for now. I'll pop in the chat, so you guys can just ask yourselves, what is the value someone will get from these 3 lines of copy. So we know the value, but it has to be there in the 3 lines. So what is the thing? What is it? And how can we pull on that some more? So like say for Tony, she could be telling me, okay, well, Claire, there's 3,000 people here. Like this is going to be great for your networking. How would she do that? She could be saying, like intimate circles. She could be saying access to some of the top names of authors for networking, like, I don't know, but there's different ways, isn't there? Let's have a look and see what you guys get with that. Oh, Joe, no. So we can change the name of our founding membership tier. So mine is called Diamond Members. So you can change the copy because Substack found that people were confused about what a founding member meant and people were expecting that founding member was lifetime. So I think change it for definitely for the work that we do in the world. You could leave it and unpack it and explain it, but for us, I think we can be creative and change it. So just while you guys are working on the value piece, I'm just going to answer Claire's question, which is struggling a little with offerings that align with my capacity and energy. And Cheyenne says me too. So on Substack, we're seeing a whole host of different offers. And within those offers, some people are offering a lot, like I do. It's a membership and it's what I do full time now, pretty much, so holding space for you guys and then the other Substack education that I do outside of Sparkle is pretty much my full-time job. So I'm bringing full-time job energy to that space. For other people, they want to turn on page just to see how that feels and they are setting up a portfolio career, so it's great just to have another income stream, or they want to hold space for just an intimate circle of people to talk and chat. So there are lots of different ways with how we set out our stall. And the worst thing that we can do is compare it to what other people are setting out, because our people find us, honestly. Like, I don't have to do all of the things that I do to make sure that people pay. I just want to. Like, I genuinely, like, I'm here in service. I just delight in supporting you guys. So it's not like I've gone, oh, I've got to do this, this, and this. Like, I just want to do that. Like, that's what I'm being called to do. Now, I don't know whether that'll be forever, but for right now, that's what I'm being called to do. My people are finding me. I'm making sure that it's clear what I'm offering. So we have to lean into like that conversation with the muse, guys. What is the muse calling you to do? Like, what are you here to do? Why are you writing on Substack? Like, do you want to share words more intimately behind a paywall? Do you want to hold space in a community chat? Do you want to start a vibrant thread? Do you want to do a workshop once a season? Do you want to write seasonally and just have the paywall there and just see if anybody wants to pay to support your work? There's all sorts of options with it. So you don't have to value stack what it is and who you are in the world. You just can do that. You can do that if you want to host more of a membership circle. If you want to just have Substack and just open the doors to being open to see who arrives and who wants to support you, you just need to be really clear about what that is and what they get for that money, that kind of value exchange, because they feel they're paying money. So if they're paying money to support you, that's it. That's the end of the deal. You've set your stall out, you've said that, they've paid, that's it. You don't owe them anything. Well, you owe them some posts if you said you're going to post regularly or seasonally or whatever you've said, but yeah. Okay, how are you guys getting on with that exercise? So we're just thinking about the value that somebody will get. So I'll share Creatively Conscious again. And talk you through that. So this one, behind the scenes of my business, personal shares. Let me just see what else I've written. And the full archive. Okay. So I mentioned this already in the call, but it is worth telling people about the archive, about what's in your archive. Now, you can use one of the 3 lines for this if you want to, but I've got it in there at the top. The behind the scenes of my business posts are usually pretty popular, especially if I talk about money or process or strategy. So I like doing that stuff. Like I'm a projector in human design and I really like modeling how it all works. So I'm very comfortable with that, but I'm not comfortable putting it in front of the paywall. So that will always be behind a paywall. So that just felt very easy for me to do. Um, the deepen your creative practice classes. So this was something I started right at the beginning, and these are a seasonal class. I'm going to stop these at the end of the year. And I've been very called to do that. So it's like, okay, like that's enough of that part of what I offer. So I'll wrap up this year and then that'll be an archive. So that'll go into the archive and it'll be essentially a toolbox of how to use journaling in a creative way for your life, creativity, and business. So I can already see where that's merging to. And then this community, the Self-Seed Your Business community and Grow Workshops 8 year. So this is something that I have tried to pour energy into this year, but I would be really honest and say it's been really hard to get going. So the people that come to the workshops live, that's great, but then there's so much of a crossover with Sparkle that it gets a bit like, well, Sparkle's where the community is, and then Creatively Conscious is more just where people kind of connect to me. So I feel I need to change this again, probably when the workshops have finished being delivered, because the community element, it wasn't for me, like it didn't feel like it was valuable enough. I wanted people to talk more about their process, to share their wins, to do all that good stuff. But I guess my energy is mostly in Sparkle. So it just meant that if it was related to Substack at all, then that was the place that was really vibrant. So I'll probably change this. But the community element here, it is still there. It's just quiet. So I would probably say something like that, like a small, maybe I'll say small, some people are more attracted to that anyway. So I could have a look at that. But the value there, it is there, but it's also a lot of words. So if someone doesn't know my work and it's like, well, what's ways into creative journaling? Like what's in that for me? What's deep in your creative practice? Like, why should I care? I'm not doing a good enough job in these 3 lines, but that's okay because we've got another space that we can go into. So, are you guys getting on with the value okay? Is it hard? Do you want to put something in the chat and let me know if there was anything that you could tweak slightly to kind of talk about the value, to talk about more what it is? It's all right if you're still working it out. I'll go on to the next part of what we're doing here. Okay. See what you guys have put in the chat. Jane, yes, people do get confused between having 2 separate Substacks. And even though I feel it's really clear, and I had Creatively Conscious first, Sparkle just has its own wild energy. And I think as a business owner, I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting to be able to differentiate Creatively Conscious is my business and Sparkle is a project that I'm really passionate about. But people just see me as Sparkle. So the people that got to know me before, or the people that circle in to read my wholehearted business stuff, they get it. But that call is asking people to slow down, and oftentimes online people just aren't slow enough. They're just like, wait, what? And people sign up to the wrong thing. I've had a lot, but I know what I'm going to do to change it. So okay, Selena's put some stuff in there. That's good. Right, I'll get to these in a minute. Let me just show you this. Okay, so I'm just going to model how it would work on Creatively Conscious here if we were trying to bring people into the community. So we've said what we want to say here, and we've put a paywall in for the purposes of this. And then when we go into preview, we're going to have a little look here, and we're going to have a look what free subscribers see on the desktop. So we've given people an option to continue reading this post for free, courtesy of me, and then all they've got to do is click that. So yesterday, as an experiment, I put that out on the Sparkle post and 3 people clicked it. Okay, so just to give you an example of, I'm stacking the value, this is what we're doing, you're invited, come on in, that's all good. So that language from Substack, I'm quite happy with it, to be honest. Like, it's fine. You don't have to have this turned on, by the way, guys, but I do, because I'm like, you know what? If you want to come on in, like, that's me. I'm in service to you. It's all good. So that's there. When we go into email, there we go. So subscribe to Creatively Conscious by Claire Venus to unlock the rest. Obviously, I've got my name in my publication title, again, to try and curb some of the confusion. It has worked, but not as much as I need it to work. So that's why it says Creatively Conscious by Claire Venus. Get access to this post and other subscriber-only content. That's all Substack's language. And then obviously upgrade to paid. And then here's the 3 lines. So a subscription gets you behind the scenes of my business. We've gone through all of this. So people get to see there's quite a lot of value there, but they've got to press the button to then see how much is it. So the subscription page that I shared with Tony's is the place that they would get to if they press that. I don't think it'll let me do it, but I'll show you how to get to it. So say if that was enough, right? They've read this, they're excited about what it is that I'm doing, and they want to upgrade to paid. Then what we do is click and go subscribe. Right, and you can only subscribe on the desktop. So if they're on the app, they'll have to open their laptops. So this is what they're going to get to, which is exactly the same, but it gives them the pricing. And it'll give them the pricing in their currency. So if they're reading in America, it's going to be in American dollars, etc., etc. So this is what they're going to see. Is this enough to make someone pay? So imagine someone has just landed for the first time. They've been met with that paywall in an email. They maybe only subscribed last week. They haven't read anything else that you've written. They just wanted to subscribe to you because they saw you on Note. So this is the subscriber flow thing that we talk about a lot. Is that enough to make them go, yeah, have my £60 or have my £5 a month for yours? Is that enough? Answer in chat if you can. So Caroline's saying, based on my conversion numbers, it doesn't feel enough yet. Samantha's asking about the readers, allow readers for a lower amount. And it's a really bonkers feature of Substack. So it's between paid and founding membership, where if you set the founding membership price, people can pay you slightly more than paid, but not as much as what you've set founding as. But I don't have it switched on because it doesn't make sense for mine, but that's what that is. It's really comfy. What comfy play on the it's really, James, it's a really comfy one. Can people only pay on the desktop when Substack keeps encouraging them to get the app? Do you others find this confusing? Yes, sorry. Yeah, confusing. Yeah, and you know, they have talked about going into partnership with Apple, but it would mean at least a 20% fee for us. So we would be paying Substack 10%, and then another 20% would go off to like Apple and Substack in their partnership to get the payments through the app. So it is what it is. I mean, I don't think that it's the end of the world, because we're talking about in this class people who feel embodied enough to know that they want to pay and stay with us. Joyful, sustainable growth, not impulsive buying. And I feel like, yeah, it's a bit annoying, but I've always gone and done it. I've always gone and gone, all right, I'll have to go on the laptop then. I don't know, but I know what you mean. Yeah, I wouldn't want to give Substack another 20%. Like, I think 10% is great and I'm happy, but another 20 would be hard if that's how they went with the app. Okay, good. So when we think about what we were talking about at the beginning, about our publication and all the other places people can understand what they can pay for and what they get to pay, what have we learned? Like, what do we feel and think now that we've seen that little kind of flow through? I've gone here, I'm met with this. What do we feel? Like, what are our instincts? I know you guys know this because you pay for others, but give me a little bit of how you feel and think about that. Hmm. Just read in the chat. Okay, so Joe's saying, I'm happy with my price and what I'm offering, except that I didn't account enough for the Stripe fees, and now I feel like I'm not charging enough. Yes, so this is why I opened that chat thread last week about getting real about the Stripe fees. So I'll teach you Stripe in the next class. I'll open up Stripe and I'll talk to you about all of the different things. And for me, what feels difficult is you see that there's so many failed payments there, but Substack take care of all of that for us. So Substack will go back to somebody who's had a failed payment 3 times, and then they'll take them out of your publication. So we're sort of, it's almost like we're paying an assistant through paying Substack and Stripe. So the 10% is the investment in Substack and the way that they run their business. And then the Stripe bit is that it's so automated. It really does look after us, but it only looks after us if we've stacked it enough to understand what we need to be paid. And that's why the next session is all about money and making sure that we're looking after the money side of what we're doing. Great. Yeah. Okay. So in going back to that first question about where you are inviting people to upgrade to whatever it is that you offer behind the paywall, how are we going to demonstrate more of the value given that it is hard within those 3 lines? Like, yes, we can get clever with character counts and emojis and all that good stuff. But if you're asking somebody for like £50 a month, like Tony, or £60 a year, like me, and they don't know us in our work, and they might do, they might have got to know us, and that might be them coming on over, and that's fine. It's just like a fact check of what they get. But if they're new and we really want to encourage them to pay, what can we do? Like, what else can we set up for them? Let me show you a couple of examples over on Sparkle, so that you guys can see that. Okay, so this one that I sent out yesterday lives in membership here. So going and staying paid on Substack. So this is the one where I said 3 people took advantage of the unlock this free post, which is something that I've got switched on. So what was in front of the paywall was up to here. And that's not very much at all. That's just basically saying, this is what we're about. I always address everything to everyone. So the conversion rate on Substack, I've said this a few times before, is between 3 and 5%. But in speaking to our whole audience, everybody's always invited. Like, that's what I'm doing here. You're all invited. Come on in. Like, if you're interested in this class, absolutely fine, come to class. Like, that's the way I've set up my business model. That's the way it works. So I always address everyone. So this one is hi all. Sometimes I'll write hi sparklers, but I'm writing to everyone, my whole list. You guys on the paid side would have felt like, oh, here's Claire, she's given us the membership stuff, but it's one piece of content, right? So it's one piece of content, it goes out, it's speaking to everybody. Not only does that streamline our process, but it also helps us to really hold everybody without tangling ourselves up in knots about who's got what and who's reading what bits. And then people might also pay. So then obviously down below, we've got the Google Calendar that you guys can add, and then where to find the links and all that sort of stuff. Now, there's not much here in terms of demonstrating the value that they get other than those 3 lines, but they haven't seen that. They've just had that click now to unlock this post. So they've been motivated to just come on in and come to the call, which is great. Other times, I might put it in the top. I'm trying to think where I'll have done one. Maybe here. Yeah. So now and again, it's just like a teaser. So again, this post was a post of service that gave somebody some value, anybody in the community some value about recommendations and referrals. And then at the bottom, I've just got PS, here's what's on in September. In case you missed it, see you soon. And I've just put what's on in September. Now, what's on in September is only for members, right? Because everything that I do is a membership here. So it's all here, but I'm inviting people with that piece of content to come and check it out. And then there'll be a paywall at some point with this, I would have thought. Yeah. So this one is open to everyone. And when it's open to, I'm literally going back through my process for you guys. When it's open to everyone, I'll do like a reintroduction to myself in a little boilerplate piece of text, either at the start or the beginning. Um, Bearing in mind, lots of people are just skimming, so I'm not expecting everybody to kind of follow through what I set out, but there's enough there that I'm going, okay, like I've given you some value here. Here's what we're doing in the membership. Here's some more value. I'm reminding you about the membership. So there's always a reminder, as subtle as it might be. The other thing that we can think about is when we can, within our content plan, push through emails. So outside of posts on Substack, you can go into your subscriber tabs and you can send emails. And I only use that when I've got a special offer on or when something is ending. So when I was ending my diamond membership and the doors were closing, I pushed an email out to my entire list through the emails tab. But I only do that when it's like, here's a message. You need to know about it. If you don't need to know about it, feel free to delete, whatever. But it's very, very clear. And that's what I use email for. And that is honestly the diamond that I wanted to share with you today, because when you do that, you're literally putting the offer in front of someone and they've seen all of these teasers and it's been in the back of their minds and they've been curious about it. And you're setting out your stall, like you're giving you everything you've got to say, this is the value, this is everything, this is what you'll unlock, this is what you've get, this is how much it is. You also put it in the other currency. So when you look at your Substack map and you can see, okay, like 80% of my audience are in America, put American dollars, how much it is in American dollars, take all of the work out of it for them and let them see, okay, if I subscribe today, then this is what I get. So that's how I use it. That's my strategy. But I wanted to share that with you because it works. So if you feel uncomfortable about selling what you've got behind the paywall, and if it feels like, oh, I'm not quite sure, shall I mention it again? Shall I not mention it? Have a go at just writing some boilerplate text. Do it now. That just demonstrates what it is. So based on those 3 lines, take the 3 lines and then reintroduce yourself and then just pad that out a bit. Give yourself a bit more space to say what the value really is. Give yourself all the words. You know, we're going to write a paragraph or so on this and then have that in your Notion or, you know, saved in your Substack drafts, and make sure that you're using that where it makes sense for you. So you'll see when I did my little kind of tour around, it's not every time, but it'll probably be about every 3 times. You guys will just skim past that because you already know. But for the people that I'm trying to bring in, they'll see it. So let's have a go at doing that, and I'll check the chat while you're doing that. Boilerplate text including 3 lines, copy and control. There we go. Okay, I'm going to leave time for questions. So we'll just wrap up that boilerplate text. So what I want you guys to do is be sharing that in the chat this week. So when you've got that longer piece of text, I want you to put it in our subscriber chat on Substack. So in Substack chat, and I want you to be there for each other in terms of the clarity of it, the value of it. Like, so in you being ready to share it, like make sure you feel okay about it, make sure you've done a bit of work on it. You can pull your 3 lines from that, but the only place somebody is really honestly looking at those 3 lines of what you're offering is when they're already bought in and they're already ready to pay. You will get the odd person who sees that and is like, oh yeah, like that's 100% for me. Obviously writers with high profiles, all that sort of stuff, that is makes it more easy, but the trust's already been built. So as we're building trust with people, we need to know that those 3 lines aren't doing enough work for us and we've got to do the work. We don't have to kind of bombard everybody with our pricing in every post, but we do have to remind people that we've got a paid offering, and there are lots of ways to do that. So like I said, whenever we use a subscribe button, Substack is going to say to the free subscribers, upgrade to paid, and that's all, unless you use a paywall. And if you use a paywall, you'll have various different things happen. You can, of course, use a paywall and, put it and give value above the paywall. But oftentimes in the app, people are just swiping past if they're never going to pay or they don't want to pay that month. They just think it's not for them. So we've got to be really cautious about how many times we meet people with a paywall. So yesterday's post to you guys had a paywall in it. I probably do that once a month. Like I just don't do it very often. Everything else that I do is taking a subscriber through a flow. I'm thinking about my brand new subscribers. I'm thinking about welcoming them, making sure they have a lovely experience, making sure that they're welcome to be here for free and get all the content and join the community and have a vibrant time on a Saturday, whatever they want to do. But I'm also nudging and going, I've got this membership and we have a really great time and we get into the nitty-gritty with our Substacks and all that good stuff too. There's been a couple of questions around the offers that we can send. It's super interesting to me. Obviously, having been on Substack since April 2022 and had the experiences that I've had and seen behind the scenes of all the Substacks that I have, sometimes the pressure works for people and the discounts work for people. So I can only share what I believe it is. When I've seen people offer a ridiculous discount, like ridiculous discount, people pay because it's that fear of missing out. It's like, well, if I don't get this discount and they're saying, oh, well, I don't really do discounts and this is my discount, I maybe do these twice a year, people pay. So the discount will be between 35 and 50% off. So you have to, and we'll do this in the next class, work out whether it's worth you doing that. And you don't want to upset your paid people either. So this is the other bit of the picture. If you're sending that email out only to free subscribers and you're saying, here's a discount, here's 40% off, come and join us, here's all the value, here are the testimonials, here's what people say, here's a video of me talking, like literally we're throwing everything at it. If you do that, people will pay. Like that is the nature of things. If you do 10 or 20%, you might convert 1 or 2. Like with my list as big as it is now, like of 12,000 people, 1 or 2 if I've ever done a 20% off. And I don't really do them because it's like, well, Substack will do it because I've got Boost switched on. So Substack Boost is where they'll email you most engaged subscribers and offer them a 20% off. But even then, I'm talking like this year, like maybe 4 people have come through that. And I just let Substack do what they do because I want to tell you about it, right? So it's like, okay, Substack, if you want to do that, that's great. But the 20% off, it will only work on a very small percentage of people. It'll only work on the people who are like, oh yeah, I was going to subscribe anyway. Okay, then. Everything else, it just needs to be a heavier weighted offer. And that's what I've seen work really, really well for people. Whether we want to do that or not, that's up to us. And that's obviously what we'll cover in the next class. I don't want to offer somebody 40% off, 35% off, 50% off. No. What I might do is say, my prices are going up. You can lock in this price if you join now. You can lock it in forever. You can lock it in for a year. But I'm not offering 50% off. No way. No, that's just not what I want to do. I also feel because I DM everybody that joins as a paid subscriber, it's going to be a lot of work for me, right? And if people reply, and they do, and I love to have a chat in the DMs, I could have given them like that much monetary worth of Substack support in like a couple of DM responses. So it needs to value stack for you anyway. It needs to feel good. And we need to have a look at that. Yeah, so Anna's saying about it feeling disloyal to my paid people. So what I would say, and this is directly from Farah Store, head of UK and European partnerships, is Farah does it and she'll do it to the free list. It never gets mentioned on the Substack anywhere. So you might have seen it if you subscribe to her, but our paid people don't know about that. It's kept completely separate. And for a while, I was subscribed to a couple of the bigger names on Substack to understand what they did with that, understand what I was receiving and stayed free for those people. I do pay for Farah now. She did give me a year when we first met, but I do pay for her Substack now, but I joined on a 35% off. So yeah, I did do that. I couldn't help it. Even though I said I wasn't paying for any more Substacks and I definitely couldn't pay for any more Substacks, I was like, oh, well, I will pay for Farah's. It's great. She gives great value. She's a great writer. Okay. So Caroline's saying if you have paid posts, you don't necessarily send it with a preview, just send it to those paid subscribers, but not to the full list. Yeah, so this is where, and I've obviously only been able to touch on it today. This is where in terms of the strategy and what you're sending when, we're going to get more into it with the content planning party with Christian I think it's on the 27th. So in terms of what you're sending and when, the really good thing to do with Substack is to make sure that you're weaving in some surprises, but also to know that you feel really secure with what you're sending where. So my strategy doesn't include putting paywalls in. Like I just don't do that. I'll just send it to paid subscribers and then see where I showed you this is a post for free, and then I linked it to a post that was then a post that they could then pay, to be part of the membership. So I'm always thinking about how to take them deeper into the journey. And that's really the key. Like if they're going to click off, then we've lost them. If they're going to click into more of our content, then they'll read more of our work and they'll be more loyal and connected to what it is that we've got to say. They'll be working out whether our values align, all that good stuff, working out whether they want to pay for us. So it's really about that, like taking them on that deeper journey. If I'm met with a paywall every single week, maybe only for 2 weeks, I won't click into any more posts. I'm just not that. I think because I'm so like busy with what I do, and then I love to read what I read, it's not going to make me pay to read, like because I'm in a point in my life where I want community and I want colleagueship and I want kinship. So I'm not in a point in my life where I'm like, oh, I'd like to sit and read however many paid Substacks and read behind the paywall. But that's okay because lots of people are at that point in their life. Lots of people do want to read behind the paywall. So the strategy for what you want to do when you're planning out your month, you want to make sure that you give as much value as you possibly can and as much explaining to your free subscribers to get them to be your paid subscribers. So that could mean adding in an extra post. That could mean doing a roundup and saying, here, guys, like here's everything that you've missed. Here are all my paid posts. Roundups make people convert. They're great conversion posts. So lots of different ways depending on our way with things. And Salama, no, I wouldn't say don't use paywalls. I would say do what's right for you. So I'm obviously teaching what has worked for me and how when I work with people one-to-one, we work it out. But what I do know is if you use paywalls, you're going to put off a certain type of buyer. And this is what I mean about sales psychology. Some people just want to feel held and want to feel part of something before they pay. Other people are impulsive and are like, I want to read the rest of that. I've got FOMO, I'm going in. Other people have got like bigger budgets to spend on Substacks. Like, let's be real, if we're paying for quite a few Substacks, it tots up, doesn't it? So everybody's coming to it from a different point of view. If you go into the content pillars workshop where we work out our kind of ideal reader avatar, and obviously it's more nuanced than this, but get into grips with who is reading your work and who wants to be connected to you, like what that person is and what the motivations are. You can also start to work out the sales psychology bit of it as well. Okay, does anyone want to ask any questions, unmute and have a little chat? We'll do a couple. We've got time for a couple today. If you guys want to do that, you can just put your hand up if you like. And I'll just go through and see if I can see anybody with a hand up. Don't be shy. Everybody's so lovely. And this is how you meet people. This is how you feel further connected. Anybody? just my voice today, guys. Yay! Self-help club. Hi, Tony.
Hello. Can I ask a question about anything?
For sure, yeah. So it's Substack FAQ. So we always do 15 minutes at the end of every call so that you guys feel like you've had some time with me. And we do the Ask Me Anythings every Monday as well in chat. So just anything is fine.
Okay, I mean, it relates a little bit. It's just about the kind of how you say hello to somebody, because you touched earlier on about the kind of the personal touch. So is there a way, or what's the best practice for kind of welcoming someone as a free subscriber versus a paid subscriber? And is there a way to kind of automate that a little bit and still feel personal?
Mm-hmm. So just before summer, I recorded a series of videos, really short 3-minute videos, one for free, one for paid, one for founding. And that felt like a piece that I'd wanted to do for ages. So when I welcome them in that video, obviously they're getting to know me a little bit. And then I share my screen and I walk them through the Substack about where they're going to find everything that they need. So the A to Z, the membership, obviously if it's diamond membership, that one. And it has cut down the amount of questions that I've got, like literally, honestly, it's like slashed the amount of questions that I've had. And I think that was a real act of service for me to be able to do that, but also to be able to meet people. And I also invite people, to chat in the DMs. Like I said, I DM every single paid subscriber and say hello. And I share again where they're going to get the resources, ask them if they've got any questions. That might feel quite heavy when someone's just jumping in on the monthly, but for me it's totally worth it, because otherwise I'm going to get a question in my email and then that just leads to more and more questions. So I'm just trying to hold people in that way. In terms of further automations, if you are linking them into any other systems as well, like any other things that you've got, like for me, obviously, I'm telling them about the Monday chat thread. I'm saying about the 2 calls a month. I'm giving them like, here it all is, jump in when you're ready. So is there anything that you could do that's sort of similar to that would help? Have you got, the other thing is having a thread where they can introduce themselves. So that's linked in all of my welcome emails as well. So people can kind of jump in and meet some of the members of the community.
Sure. Yeah. Do you have, or is there a way to, because people come in different ways as a free member. So I have some nice kind of recommendations from other Substackers. So is there a way to, or would we kind of talk to them differently versus someone who's kind of maybe joined directly?
So you mean you want to welcome your free subscribers other than the automated welcome email?
Yeah, I'm just thinking so for instance, because sometimes I feel like people kind of they subscribe to me, but they don't necessarily know that they've subscribed to me because they've just hit, yeah, I'll follow everyone else that,
Oh, I
for
see.
instance, Claire
Yeah.
follows.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I do the little hello, thanks for subscribing. I sometimes feel they're a bit like, oh, I didn't know I did.
Yeah. Yeah.
So is there a different way to say, yeah, I suppose we would just say, but then I suppose that's just an extra piece of manual work, or is it?
Yeah, I mean, in the welcome email on Creatively Conscious, I ask them what their favorite ice cream is. So some of them will email me back and just tell me what their favorite ice cream is, which is really lovely. So I'll get those emails like a few times a month. But mostly, I think people, again, it's different, isn't it? Like, I like a personalized welcome. I love that stuff. But for most people, they're like, oh my God, did you see me already? So I think it's enough. It's enough to have that welcome email, pop a video in it, have a post that they can go straight to comment on. If they're opening up the welcome email, keep the welcome email short and the about page long is my advice with that. So just make sure that you've done something to try and welcome them in. And then obviously, if you have new subscribers come in all the time, this is where the boilerplate text can be really, really, really transformational in terms of people feeling welcome. And I mean, a couple of times this week, I've had Substacks sent to me and I definitely didn't sign up, like definitely didn't sign up to them. So I'm a bit like, wait, what? And so it's that experience that the others will be having when they've not unchecked that button.
Yeah.
So it was good to feel it. I just think someone sold my email address, quite honestly. I'm so bored of it now. There's like been 3 and I'm like, what, who are these people? Because I just don't sign up to stuff. I'm really conscious. I can't kind of manage it all. So yeah, so I think a semi-regular post that you can link people to, that is like the assets that they can grab or the invites, and make that bit really easy in case they don't click on the video. And then a chatty thread, if you've got those, where people are kind of introducing themselves and they can get to know the community. Just me, knowing your community a little bit, and I don't know it inside out yet, but I will get to know it, I promise.
Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. You're welcome. I think Charlie's got a hand up. Hi, Charlie.
Hiya, how are you?
All right, how are you doing?
Thanks. A question was related to paid, but it's recently I've finally, after saying it for ages, launched my podcast as a new publication. So this is the podcast I co-host with a friend, and we've been doing it for 5 years, and we've moved it to Substack. Obviously, it's still going out in all the other places. Currently, we don't really have any plans to do like additional stuff with it, but maybe down the line. But I did kind of want to turn on paid just in case people want to give like more of the pledge donation situation. Obviously, like I said, we've been doing it for a long time. We've never asked for, we've not monetized it in any way so far. So there may be a few people who just want to, send a little bit our way, just, as a donation sort of thing. Is there a way, you mentioned earlier about the pledges versus the subscription, but when I'm in the back end, I do get a bit confused about which bit is which. Is that clear?
Yeah, so if you haven't hooked Stripe up, which I didn't with the Sparkle Summit, it'll just automatically have pledges switched on and then you've got to switch it off. But you can still, with pledges, say what it is for you. Like if you pledge to this podcast, you'll be giving us the reassurance that, you value it, you like it. And if we do ever monetize some episodes or if we go in any sort of paid direction, you'll be the first to know sort of thing. So there's no money going to change hands. And the process is when someone pledges to paid, if you turn on paid, they'll then get an email that says, Charlie's turned on paid, would you like to pay? So that's like a little bit of admin there. So it's not automatically going to charge them. So again, reassuring them, you won't be charged. You'll get an email if we do ever turn on paid to invite you to pay, because the last thing we want is just pressing that pledge button sort of 10, 20 times and then 20 people at once deciding, oh, yes, please, Claire, I'll take your money. So reassuring people it's new to them and that's what it means, but it just gives you the reassurance. When you plug Stripe in, that's obviously when you can take money for the podcast. You might have seen that I offered my Diamond members the opportunity to sponsor season 2 of my podcast. So it just meant that I linked back to their Substack. So we're just busy on with the admin of it. But for me, it felt like I wanted to say thank you to them for supporting me on this journey that I'm on with Substack. And also I wanted to give them the profile of being seen and being read and, their name getting out there as well. And so it felt it's difficult with the monetary value of that, but it's just a creative example of how I've used it just for season 2. So if you did want to offer that and say, we'll hyperlink your name and the name of your business, or we'll hyperlink your name and the name of your Substack, that's also an option if it was relevant to the work that you do on your podcast. I've only listened to one episode, but I did love it.
Yeah, actually, I see. That's a really good idea. I hadn't really thought like there are other ways than just having to do extra content that we could sort of, like you say, like a little shout out. It's a business podcast. So yeah, maybe that's something that would be quite a nice little thing. We could do shout outs to businesses and okay. That's really something to think
do
about.
like a whole business shout out episode as well. Like I know when we did Company of Two and we did sponsorship for that, and then we read everybody's name, which was quite hard to do. But then obviously once I had that audio, then Laura would just like edit it in and like pop it in. And it did feel like, what it's like when you're listening to a podcast and someone tells you about a business. It's like, oh yeah, I have seen them on Substack or have seen them on Instagram. Is that what they do? That's really cool. Like it does work. Like audio helps us grow our Substacks 2.5 times faster. And when we're listening to audio as consumers, we understand more about what we're being offered. Obviously, reading, it's a different visceral experience, isn't it? So yeah, have a think about it and then just pop it in the chat if anything pops up. Since the summer I've opened the chat so you guys can use it, so it's only open to paid subscribers, but it just means if you've got something or you want to check something or use it as a sounding board, you're super welcome.
Great, thanks, Claire. Yeah, that's some good food for thought. Cheers.
You're welcome. Rachel. Hi, you just muted.
Yes.
Hi, Rachel. How are you doing?
There,
Rachel,
yeah,
Rachel, are you the one that comes on a Friday to the co-working? Are you there on Discord? Is it different, Rachel?
I came once.
You've come once. Okay. There's a Rachel that's coming every week, and I'm like, this is great. Like one person every week. But anyway, hi, lovely to see you.
Hi, yeah. So I came a bit late to this call, but I hope I don't repeat the question. It's just I'm currently on this. It's about paid as well. I'm on the Patreon model, means everything is free. And I just normally ask nicely at the end, if you enjoyed this piece, click on like, share the post, and leave a comment. And if you want to support more, you can upgrade. So I normally just put it at the end of the article. So I'm just wondering, yeah, so at the moment, this is my paid approach because I don't have more time to give extra yet for paid. So I thought it would be nice just to go by Patreon model, but so far I don't even have one who signed up to paid. And I only have almost 200 free subscribers now. So I guess it's still very early stage. But I'm just wondering if I'm doing things right, or maybe seeing just one sign up for paid, then I know how I'm going the right direction. Someone did say they want to support. So it's kind of like, of course, for this model, the more people you have, then you have higher chance to have some people supporting. But even to see one would have been very motivating. So I just wonder, do you have like ideas besides sharing this? Your very cool idea of these are the thing you'll get if you upgrade these 3 points. They are great, but for me, when people upgrade, they don't get anything extra. So
And I think, you know, it's a valuable model to do the Patreon model. So my husband has that. So he's written on Substack and doesn't put anything behind the paywall, and people do pay. Usually what happens is they pay to support him. So his work is in supporting men's mental health. So when he talks about that, he'll get like guys that are subscribed usually that then pay to like just further support him to do that work. So I think it's understanding again the motivation. Like, are people going to support just because they like what you're doing? Are they going to support you because they care about what you're doing? Are they going to support you so that, you know, they feel like they just, you know, have that feel good element? Like, what the motivation for patrons is it's super, super fascinating, but it's kind of understanding what it is. Like, it would be possible, but it'll be just like one or two that if you're writing, and I'm not sure what your topic is, but if you're writing that they're like, oh yeah, great, like I'll pay to support her. But if you're paying and there's an intrinsic like motivation, like I really want to pay because I believe in this cause, or I believe in this, or I want to support, then that's more motivating. So Simon Hazel is always the example that I use. So he writes footnotes and tangents. And his work is a working service of a slow read along of War and Peace. And he doesn't just do War and Peace now, he does other things. So my husband's part of that. So they read a chapter a month of War and Peace. And Simon does this kind of unpacking of the characters, and they all chat about it in chat. And they all pay to support Simon, but nothing's paywalled. But they all have a fascinating time, you know, unpacking War and Peace. And he's such a great space holder that he's making quite a lot of money on Substack now. So it's still value stacked, you know, so there's still a lot of value in the people, like they get a lot of value from him. So I think what I usually do is I just normally do like 3 circles like this. So if you've got this here, then you know, if you did have paid turned on and your paywall, and you would have like free, paid, and then founding there. But if you just have a Patreon model and it's all revolving around these circles, we've got to sort of just work out what's going to motivate people in the middle. So if you kind of work that out and you went, okay, this week I talked about a walk in nature, and I also talked about how creativity impacted me. I also talked about like volunteering with my local dog center. Like sometimes people just pay because it's like the fuzzy feel goods, you know? So yeah, but drop it in the chat this week, Rachel, and maybe people have got some more ideas and we can get to know what you write about a bit more.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, we'll do Charlotte's question and then we'll wrap up. Thanks, Rachel.
You've possibly covered this, but I had technical problems, so I was dipping in and out for a bit. So the 3 lines that you write for the paid subscribers when they're fresh on your page and they can see what they get, and the 3 lines that we're building on and working on. How do you get those 3 lines seen by the ones that are already free subscribers now? Is that where when you preview the post, is that what you're trying? you were showing.
Yes. So for us as creators, when we go into preview, so we're in a post and we can send a test email. And when you send a test email, it'll come through to your email inbox as free and as paid. So you'll get both. So that's really worth doing just so you can kind of receive that energy and see how it is. But then in preview, you're going to be able to see it. So if you've put a subscribe button in and a paywall, which is what I advised you to do, then you're going to get both messages. So it's going to give you like both bits of information from Substack. If you just do a paywall, it'll just be the bit below. So if that makes sense, but send yourself the test emails, because then you'll see really clearly. And don't be afraid to write something above that, you know, above the paywall, above the subscribe button. You can write more. You can also link them to your about page. You know, you can try and take them on a bit of a journey, but the idea is that we're capturing them and we're just making it really clear, and we can't be clear in those 3 lines. Not really. Like, we think we've been as clear as we can, but it's not enough to motivate a brand new person usually to pay. So we need to give them that little bit more in the boilerplate text. So yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, let me just check the chat. Okay, just people popping off and stuff. That's okay. Oh, Joe saying turn off recommendations. Oh, interesting. Okay. Okay, so I think Anna's still here. She's got a question I'm going to answer before we go. I can't turn on audio. Oh, she's got the new puppies. How would you recommend getting to know what your subscribers are there for? For example, I do write a lot of personal essays or essays related to current events. Plus, I do a lot of writing craft emails and host my monthly creative writing workshop. I emailed my most engaged people with a poll asking them to tell me, and no one answered. So the awkward thing about polls, Anna, is that you can't answer in email. So you can send the email with the polls in, but they've got to answer it in the Substack app. So you've got to tell them that. So that's one piece of information for you. So if you put in the polls in, it might just be that the majority of your people are reading an email and they tried to press a button, it didn't work, and they get on with their lives. So you have to say to them, you'll have to pop over to the Substack website to answer the poll, or answer in the app. And so that'll give them the option to do that. In terms of figuring out what they're there for, like, I guess this is part of where I've been able to fast track it, because I'm in workshops with people. So when you're in your workshops with people, which is great, then just asking those kind of searching questions at the beginning and the end, and trying to work out, take the temperature of what people are there for, what's motivated them to come, like get to know them a bit. And as they're giving you some answers, just have a piece of paper or a notebook open and just write down some of those answers so you can circle back to them. It's really difficult when you first start out. And I remember first starting out with Creatively Conscious, and I had 3 people pay straight away. One was my husband, bless him, and 2 were friends and clients that I have worked with. So the 2 friends and clients that I'd worked with, I've used them before in this kind of avatar and working out what their motivations are to like pay for my work. But every time I ask again and like try and get to the bottom, when I do any sort of surveys or I do any sort of testimonial requests, there's so much more rich language than I could possibly understand that people share with me. So really looking at those paid subscriber notes, asking for testimonials after workshops, making sure you've got the questions in about like who you are and what you do in the world, and then reflecting the language back. So if they've got any language that you particularly resonate with. So the magazine course that I led before summer, the whole sales page was built from interviewing people about what they needed and what they felt stuck with on Substack. And then that was a sellout course. So really understanding the language that your people use, the way they describe themselves, what you're giving them in terms of value. Like for me, like I love Anna's writing. I think she's a fantastic writer. And when I come to Anna's world, I feel like I completely escape from mine. So I would probably save Anna's work to like read at a time where it's like, oh, well, I've got a bit of time. The kids are a bit annoying me or something. And I'll be like, I'll just sit and read this and go into this world. So maybe that gives you something from at least me, that it is permission to dive into a world where I'm going to be held by really, really good quality writing. I hope that helps. Okay. Oh yeah, the Zoom poll, that's a good one, Caroline. Yeah, that's a really good idea. I've never actually done that. I should do that, shouldn't I? I'll not do it today because I'm going to let you guys go. But listen, we've got the second call on the money piece, and this will be the bit of the picture, the bit of the jigsaw puzzle that fits those two pieces together. And then we've also got our planning party with Kristen this month as well. So the whole kind of 3 workshops is then just going to get you to a place where you feel much more embodied and sure of what you're putting out. And you're going to start to see the shifts in people paying for your work. One of the things to remember is there is a sea of Substacks, right? So people are making choices all the time, and people are holding on to their money until such a point where they're like, yeah, that's it for me. If you are bringing people from off Substack, that isn't the case. So the clients that I've supported who are bringing people from Instagram or from other places, they have a different opportunity there. So whichever one you are, when you're sharing in the chat this week, make sure you kind of bring that nuance in and tell me about that, because I won't know. And that will, give us that little bit more insight into what we can be saying to people, how we can be demonstrating what Substack is and what it's all about. But thank you all for being here. I will see you on the next call, and I'll see you over in chat when you've written your boilerplate. So I'll send this replay out and give you a reminder of that's what that we're doing this month. Okay, take care, everyone. Bye.